Hi, Cathy Neptune here, and welcome to my kitchen. I'm going to share with you tips, tools, and recipes to make your time in the kitchen fun, fast, and fabulous. Don't worry about writing down these recipes either, because you can just email me. I'll send you the recipes with the exact measurements and also some good resources to get a lot of these tools. And thank you to everyone who sends in their emails, questions, and suggestions. And I just read them all. They're just really great. And they inspire me too. So thank you again for doing that. And we're into the winter season. And our holiday coming up is Valentine's Day. So our show tonight is called Cooking with Hearts. And that's hearts with an S because, of course, with a theme like Valentine's Day, we're going to try and do heart shapes. So bear with me. And we're going to do, for our main dish, a ground chicken meatloaf. And this is 1 pound of very lean ground chicken. And, of course, you could substitute turkey. But I'm going to add some flavors to this that mimic, if you will, a chicken parmesan. So I thought the chicken would carry much better. And chicken, I think, can be a little bit drier than a turkey meat would be. So here I have some Italian chicken sausage. And I like the Italian flavor because, again, it mimics the flavor of what an Italian dish might be. And I'm going to start out with 1.5 of these large Italian chicken sausages. And I'm adding this because there's not a lot of fat in your chicken, the ground chicken, and this adds a lot of fat and flavor to your dish. So whenever you can add flavor and a little bit of substance to it by making it juicier. I hear from a lot of people they don't like chicken burgers or turkey burgers because they're too dry. And we've done recipes where we add cooked carrots and other vegetables to make it moist. And it's all about adding that flavor and texture. So that's going to go a long way to flavoring your ground chicken. So I'm just kind of mashing it in there for now. And then we're going to get in there and mix it with my favorite tools. And you'll see that in a minute. And then, again, to add some moisture, this is just ricotta cheese. And I start with about 1/3 cup of regular fat-free, if you want, or low-fat ricotta cheese. And that adds another layer of moistness. Now, remember when you do a meatloaf, a regular meatloaf with ground hamburger, you usually soak your breadcrumbs in milk. So this kind of mimics that essence in your ground turkey with the ricotta cheese. And then, of course, you need to have eggs. And I have 2 eggs, but I don't think I'm going to use them all. I'll probably do 1.5. Those are the eggs. And because of color, some fresh parsley. Oh, that smells so fresh. I love parsley in meats. And a little bit of, you know what this is? It looks like sand, but you know what it is? It's ground homemade croutons. And I'm going to talk about how we did these, but you can just tell by the color how much flavor is going to be added. Instead of plain breadcrumbs, we're using toasted breadcrumbs that have herbs in them. So probably 1/2 cup in there. And then, of course, you want to always season with some salt. This is Himalayan salt. About a teaspoon of fresh grind of black pepper. Probably just 1/2 teaspoon depending on what you like. And you could add Italian seasoning, and I would if I didn't have the Italian chicken sausage in there. So I'm not going to add any, but if you didn't have that, you could add some Italian seasoning or just a garlic and herb seasoning. And then I'm going to put my gloves on because these are the best tools that you have. We should do tool time on these because in the kitchen, you want to use your tools. And we're just going to get in there. And it's the best way to mix. Just toss it around. And those breadcrumbs have so much flavor. And it's just going to absorb. And you don't want to over mix this, but you do want to make sure and get the egg
and the ricotta cheese all incorporated in here because you don't want lumps of different things in there. And then we have our bar pan here that's been, I have a piece of parchment paper that I've sprayed with a little nonstick spray just to make it easier. And you could certainly double this recipe, but we're using this for a serving for 2 people, which is the way Valentine's Day should be. And I'm going to take and put this here on our pan and put this over here because we're done with that. And then taking my gloves that don't seem to want to stay on. I have my oven preheated at 375. And I'm going to attempt to do a heart shape, so bear with me here. And the kids would love to do something like this. And you can make individual ones if you wanted to. I mean, it's not hard to do a heart shape. I'd say that looks pretty good. This is going to roast up very nicely in the oven, especially when you have a stone. These stones are just awesome. I'm going to exaggerate the shape a little bit so if it shrinks up, you won't be able to tell. So what do you think about this? Does that look like a nice heart shape? Not bad. If it wasn't me, I'd be impressed. So we're going to pop this in the oven. And when we come back, we'll get started on a really fun, interesting dessert. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. We have our heart-shaped chicken meatloaf in the oven, and we're going to finish it off with some little extras and goodies. And while we're waiting for that to cook, we're going to do dessert. And I have sprayed a piece of parchment paper here with some non-stick spray, and I always measure it ahead to make sure it's going to fit in whatever vehicle you're using for cooking, and that's a medium baking stone that I'm using. So for now, I'm going to put it there. I'm going to dust off a little bit of the flour because we don't really need that in there. And I'm going to set that aside in the pan. And I'm going to take a beautiful Bartlett pear. And remember my suggestion when you buy pears to make sure they're not hard and they're nice and ripe and have a good flavor. Buy them about 3 days before you plan on using them. And that way you know they're going to be ripe. So we're going to cut through this. See how easily this goes through the center, hopefully the center of your pear. And then we're going to scoop it out because there's seeds there. And I'm going to take a little bit of the stem off there, and I'm going to scoop out a fairly large size hole, removing all the seeds, and you'll see why in a minute. And this is going to be our Valentine's Day dessert. We're going to do the same with the other pear. And this is, I think, a Bartlett pear. So a nice round scoop inside. Not being careful not to cut through the whole pear. And you can save that for a snack later or just toss it. And then we're going to take on the top of our pear, we're going to cut just very, very shallow strips along the way. And you'll see what we're going to do. This helps cook it as well, cook through the pear, because we're only going to cook this for about 30 minutes. And we can actually put this in with our meatloaf. I'm going to cut, see there's a little stem here on the side. I'm just going to cut that off here because you don't want to eat a stem. Break that off. And we're going to position these like so on our puff pastry. And you see what's happening here? We're going to kind of go around, leaving a nice wide edge. And we're going to mimic and try and fool the eye by suggesting a heart shape with the puff pastry. So let me see, I'm going to go down here, try and get them as even as you can. And let's go on this side. I'd say that's pretty darn good. And then you can save all these pieces and do like a cinnamon sugar. But look at this. That looks like a heart shape to me. And then we're going to take a little bit of lemon juice and rub it on the top, and that's going to seep into those little cracks, and it adds a nice flavor. Now, we're not doing any cinnamon or sugar at all in here, any flavorings, but we do have the lemon. And then this is the fun part. You know what these are? They're the little chocolate truffles. And we're going to take this and pop it right inside. And I'll show you on this side too. And these are like, you could do milk chocolate. White chocolate would be very elegant. And what we did is put it right up inside that hole and press it down into the pastry. So we have that. We're going to take a beaten egg here. You can do these individually, but I thought this was a nice little shape. We're going to take just a beaten egg and do a wash all around the side. And this is going to puff up in the oven and get golden brown, and your pears are going to cook. And when you cut into the center of this, serve this when it's warm, you get that beautiful chocolate flow from the center, which is a really nice surprise. And if we're lucky, that's going to puff up really, really well in the oven. So we're going to put that in at 375 in the oven. And I'm going to check it after about 20, 25 minutes to see how good we're doing. But that is a little heart-shaped pear puffs. So these are going in, and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. We have our pear puffs in the oven. We have our chicken meatloaf cooking, heart shapes, and we're going to talk about tools, because I always say you can't build a house without tools. You can't cook in the kitchen efficiently and effectively without good tools as well. So we're introducing a new segment to the show called Tool Time. And I just want to explain about some of the tools that you saw me using earlier. This is one of my favorite. I use it all the time, and it's a silicone basting brush. And it's so much better than the ones with the natural boar's hair bristle, because you never have to worry about them melting or coming loose, or the band if it would get rusty or old. It's just a great way to go. This particular one has a little ridge on it like this, so you can put it on the side of your bowl. How handy is that when you're barbecuing and grilling? So it won't slide off the side of the bowl. And it's a great tool to have. They come in all different sizes and shapes, but I like this one. It's a good all-purpose one. Sometimes if you get them that are too wide, they use too much sauce. And I just love this for butters and sauces and egg washes. It's the perfect size. And this one you saw me using to core out the center of our pear slices. And this here is great. It's not a sharp edge, but it's very efficient when you're trying to seed a cucumber or a zucchini or hollow out the pear, as you saw. It's just a great tool when you need something that's a little bit sharper than a spoon would be, but not sharp. That's great. And this one, I love this. It's got little serrated teeth on the edge. This is called the corer. And this here will core out your strawberry hulls. You never buy one strawberry. You always have a basket of strawberries. And instead of taking a knife and chopping off a third of the strawberry, you use this. Also, if you want to take out the eyes on a pineapple, you know how many there are? There's about 427 eyes on a pineapple. And if you don't take them out, it's not rough that you're going to want. So this is the perfect little thing to use. I use it for everything. It's just a great little tool, and it's called the Cora. And for these and some of my other tools that I use, I can order them for you, or I can hook you up with some great resources. But these are great gifts, too, to put with your favorite cookbook. And they're just great to have in your kitchen. The other tool that I absolutely love, now, everybody probably has a food processor, and you probably have a large one. But you know what? When you need a smaller tool to do, say, breadcrumbs, or chop up some nuts, or incorporate cream cheese with anything. You're going to put it in here. It doesn't have a lot of lumps in it. It has 2 speeds, a chop and a grind, and it's the best thing. It really is. Instead of taking out a large one, this is something you can leave on your counter, and you will find a million uses for it. Whereas taking out a big processor, you probably think twice about doing it, but it makes it easy. So these are some of my favorite tools. And send in your ideas and your favorite tools too. We appreciate all the questions that you have too. And a lot of you have been asking about, where do I get these tools? What is that tool? And I'm happy to share with you too. So keep those emails coming, and I'm happy to share. We're going to do a third dish this evening, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. We have a few minutes to go on the oven things that we have in there, our meatloaf and our pear puffs. And I thought we'd make a nice light, very light salad. And we're going to start out with a little bit, how cool is this? It's Prosecco wine vinegar, because I don't want a heavy balsamic look. So we're going to put in just a little bit, probably 2 teaspoons of vinegar, and you can use any flavored vinegar that you like, and a good olive oil. And when I say good, have something that has a lot of flavor that you can really taste when you do, if you do bread dippers. That's very important. And I like a Spanish, extra virgin Spanish olive oil. So we're going to add that in it, and it'll kind of emulsify to a golden color. Look at that. Very lemony. Pinch of salt. We love good olive oil. It's so nice to have. And what do you think? Garlic? Let's do a little, just a small little smidge of garlic. And if you're cooking for your honey this Valentine's Day, this is a great, great dinner to have. It's easy to do. I mean, you can do not a whole lot of pre-prep ahead of time. And then because it's a nice golden color, why not add a little bit of lemon juice, just about half a teaspoon for this amount. Blend that in. And we're going to add some very light greens. It's a mixed greens, whatever kind you like. And we're going to toss that. Oh, this smells so light and lemony. And then I'm going to grab something from the refrigerator here. Something that I did ahead of time. And wait until you see this. This is fun. This is what makes cooking fun. And this is a goat cheese that I'm going to top on top of our salad. And I found, honestly, that doing the, trying to cut these shapes out of a stick of goat cheese, a log of goat cheese, was not good. It was too crumbly. So what I did, because it's all about plan B when you're in the kitchen. So I rolled the log and I put a point on the bottom and I did a V-cut. I'm going to get a close shot of that. I did a V-cut across the top and then made a point at the bottom. And I chilled it for about 15 minutes and just took a very sharp knife and cut them. And they came out in perfect heart shapes. And I suggest that you wipe your knife in between so you get a good clean cut. And you can certainly do that ahead of time. So a nice cold, very cold goat cheese, V-shape on the top. And you can see it's almost like a cream cheese. You can mold it into a point at the bottom. And then what I have here, how fun is this? You know what this is? Pistachios and dried cranberries. And I took these and take your little goat cheese and press it into the sides. And I kind of like the white part showing, but you could do the bottom like so. And I did that one. Let's do another one. And you certainly could do these ahead of time, but it adds a nice little crunch. And be careful not to overwork your cheese. It's just as a garnish. Isn't that pretty? Makes it fancy. So we're going to put that over there. And then here's a beautiful little dish. And I'm going to just serve up one serving for you. Let's move this here. And you can see how light this is. Nicely dressed salad. And I would dress it just slightly beforehand so it won't get soggy. We're going to put that in. Let's put a nice purple leaf on the top. And of course you do 2 of these because it serves 2 people. And your beautiful little hearts. Maybe we'll just do 1 on the top like so. Well, we could do 2 because it's Valentine's Day. And these are beautiful little salad with the heart-shaped goat cheese in a heart-shaped dish. And when we come back, I'm going to take our chicken meatloaf, heart-shaped, out of the oven. We're going to dress it up and do something special with it. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Look at our partially cooked chicken meatloaf, and it stayed in a really nice heart shape. And you can see how juicy. It's not going to be dry at all. And that's the sausage that we added, and a little bit of ricotta and egg and toasted breadcrumbs, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And I had those extra Italian sausage, so I'm browning those in the oven at the same time because why not? And we have here a nice store-bought, you can make your own, ragu sauce. But I'm putting that on top of our heart shape, and it's okay if it drips over the edge. And as I said in the beginning, we want to mimic like a chicken parmesan, and who doesn't love chicken parm? But this is no pounding the chicken breasts and having them come out too dry. It's just a really easy way to go. And I browned the loaf first just to get a little extra flavor. And it really does help that it's on parchment paper. And then I'm going to grab some blended cheese, and this is a mixture of Parmesan and provolone and a little bit of mozzarella. Now in chicken parm, you know, it's not always just Parmesan cheese. They do usually do a blend of cheese on the top. And if you just want to do Parmesan, you certainly could. And this we're going to put back in the oven, and it's going to finish cooking. You can never have too much cheese, and that's going to get a golden, bubbly brown. Now, I think that looks pretty good. And you want to be very careful to use pot holders when you take this. I'm going to pop this back into the oven, and we're going to talk about our breadcrumbs that we did. And this is going to go back in the oven for about 15 minutes. Or until the cheese melts and browns. So we're going to save this. And I'm going to put my leftover Italian sausage in here and make a ragu. So that'll be good. And remember we talked about our golden sandy breadcrumbs here, toasted. Now, I'm all about using leftovers that you have in your refrigerator. Have you ever had all different breads? You have your sourdough bread, your wheat bread, pumpernickel bread even, English muffins, Hawaiian rolls. Well, I get down to the last few pieces. Nobody eats the heels on any of them. And you just take them, all blend whatever blend you have on hand, and chop them into little cubes like so. And I take a bag, a plastic bag, and I put some good olive oil and any kind of seasoning that you have. I collect all kinds of blended spices. For example, here's an Italian one, an Italian spice blend. You can use that. If you don't have this, you can use basil and oregano. Even if it's only just a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder. You mix that in with your olive oil, and then take all the bread cubes and toss them in the bag with the olive oil and mush them all up really well. Put them on, I had like 2 or 3 baking sheets. That's how many croutons I had. Because basically that's what you're doing is making croutons. And you bake them in the oven at 375. Check them after 10 minutes. Every oven's different. 10 to 15 minutes and you're good. and take them out, cool them on the counter or your stove top, and then put them in a plastic bag, and you have this wonderful, wonderful toasted. I mean, you could eat this like popcorn. It's so good on salads. And what I did is I put them in my little mini blender, and you make this wonderful, wonderful toasted breadcrumb flavor that now has all of your seasonings in there too, because I had Italian seasoning and a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder in there too. And sometimes I add a little bit of Himalayan sea salt or finishing salt to it to give it that extra salty flavor. So how nice is that to be able to add this kind of flavor with leftover cubed bread? And they always taste different because it depends on what kind of breads. They all have their own different unique flavor. But somehow, even with the pumpernickel or rye bread, it adds a really nice flavor. So have fun with that. Don't toss those bread cubes. You can even put them in your freezer till you have enough to make your bread cubes too. And they're just great to munch on. So that's a great tip. So I hope you give that a try. And when we come back, we're going to check on to see if our items in the oven are all done, our chicken meatloaf and our heart-shaped pear puffs. So we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Welcome back to our fabulous Valentine's dinner. And here is our heart-shaped meatloaf that we baked in the oven. And look at how beautiful the cheese all melted and the sauce is underneath. And these are our heart-shaped pastas. Now let me tell you how I made these, because I couldn't find any. You take lasagna, regular lasagna noodles, and you cook them for about 4 minutes in boiling salted water. And then you take a little heart-shaped cutter like the one I showed you earlier, and just a small one, you can take one like this, and just cut them out, and then put them back in salted boiling water and cook them until they're done. And it's a nice little addition, a side dish, to our chicken parmesan meatloaf. And then on top of that, we're going to use some of our same sauce. Put that over the top, and you can put some in a bowl for extra servings if somebody wants a little more sauce. But they're going to be very pleasantly surprised to see this beautiful little shape underneath as pasta. So you can really make your own. There we go. And you can sprinkle a little parsley on top of that for color, because I always like a little color. Beautiful, beautiful. So let's set this out in front. And that all total took about half an hour in the microwave. And look at our beautiful, beautiful pears. If I could take that and I'll cut a little slice to see if the chocolate, remember the little chocolate that we put inside? And what you do, the little chocolate truffles, and you can serve it like this. And I'm going to cut this open because inside is our melted chocolate. Isn't that fun? And just beautiful. It makes it special. And a wonderful little salad with a light vinaigrette and a goat cheese heart that we formed and dipped in dried cranberries and crushed pistachios. So I hope you make this for your special Valentine. I think it's pretty nice. Very, very festive, colorful, and why not? Okay, so I hope you try all these recipes. Thank you again for everybody who watches and writes in. Send me your emails with questions that you have, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you again for watching, and may the fork be with you.